Hello and welcome to another anime lore and theory video. I'm Shergok, your host, and today we are going to take a closer look at the internal politics of the Dragonlord founded council state of Arkland. While in the next episode, we will take a closer look at Arkland's position in the wider world. But before we're going to take a closer look at any of this, let me quickly thank my Patreons for supporting this channel, as well as say thanks to all users of the YouTube thanks function for making one-time donations. And with that said, let's get to the topic at hand. Arkland has so far played only a minor role in the story of Overlord, and the information we have about it and its internal structure is very limited. However, based on the few details available and what can be inferred from its behavior, a lot can still be said about it. In fact, I would go so far as to say that Argland is one of the most interesting nations in the entirety of the New World. And first of all, where is Argland? Well, Argland is not even fully visible on the world map, or more specifically, the map of the western part of the nameless continent. At first glance, it looks rather mountainous and rugged, similar to the Anatolian Peninsula, upon which it is likely based, given the general geography of the area. And this makes it very defensible and easy to fortify. And that's probably one of the very reasons why it was founded there, to protect it from further aggression. Because this state, like many others on the western end of the continent, was established a little over 200 years ago. It came into being after a coalition of heroes, including Karu, a powerful necromancer, Platinum Dragonlord as his armor, Evil Eye, the undead vampire princess, and at least one player of Yggdrasil fought and defeated the so-called evil deities, demons, or perhaps even NPCs from Yggdrasil online in an apocalyptic war. However, before their defeat, these demons had devastated large parts of the New World and caused immense damage to the nations there. As a result, many of the old nations perished, leaving space for new states to rise. Besides the kingdom in the southeast, which is connected to Arkland by only a narrow land strip, Arkland borders only the northern and the western seas, making it quite isolated. But this isolation was likely also intentional, in order to protect it, because unlike the empire which came into existence only 200 years ago, or the theocracy of Slain, with which Arkland has a pronounced rivalry, which I will talk about in the next video at length, Argland was founded by Platinum Dragonlord, the alleged son of the Dragon Emperor himself, and seemingly the most powerful natural being native to the New World. He, alongside with 4 other dragons, helped establish or orchestrate the founding of this state from the ashes of other fallen nations. And as I said, this alone makes Argland quite unique. But Arkland is also unique in another way, among all of the other states in the New World. And even compared to the Sorcerer Kingdom under Einsolgon, it still stands out, because it functions as a kind of democracy, unlike the rest of the New World. Unlike a sizable chunk of our own world, Arkland doesn't have a bicameral system where both chambers, one proportionally elected and the other elected to equally present a certain sub-state entity within the greater state territory. But it has both of these aspects merged into a single representative body, the so-called council. And now it gets a bit complicated. Normally in systems like Germany's Bundestag or the US House of Representatives, representatives are directly elected either proportionally, like in Germany, or via a winner-takes-it-all system, like in the United States of America. And the Senate of the United States, by contrast, gives each state equal representation to protect local interests. For example, California has over 30 million people and gets 55 electoral votes, all of which go to the party that wins the majority. Wyoming with only round about 600,000 people, has just 3 electoral votes in order to account for the difference in population. Yet in the Senate, both California and Wyoming get 2 senators each. And this is designed to prevent populous states from steamrolling smaller ones due to the difference in voting power. So basically, land does kind of vote in this kind of system in regards to the Senate. And the same logic applies in Argland, but on a species level, because it's a multi-species state with lizardmen, goblins, ogres, and even 10% humans in it. And there are no states or federal regions. Instead, there's a single council with 1 representative per species, chosen by members of that species, regardless of population size. This means even if humans made up 90% of the population and goblins, ogres and lizardmen share the rest, humans would still only get 1 representative, just like the other 3. So yes, this leads to some species being disproportionately underrepresented. Imagine 10% humans and 1% butterfly people both getting the same vote, as in the same proportion of political power. But the point of the system is to ensure that every single species, no matter how small, has political influence. Otherwise, dominant groups could control everything, pass laws in their own interest, for example taxes on limbs beyond 5, or an airspace tax for flying beings, and basically silence the rest. And like in the United States, but on a species level, this is meant to prevent majority rule from trampling minority rights and representation. Every species should be heard, had a share in governments, and have their interests represented. And the system isn't designed to give every individual an equal vote, but rather to make peaceful coexistence among vastly different species possible at the expense of individual political power, because otherwise lines of conflict would quickly form along racial or species-based divisions. In short, without going too deep into foreign policy, which we will explore in the next video, Arkland is the exact opposite of the Slain theocracy, because Slain is a humanocentric state that only grants citizenship and a right to exist to humans, viewing all of their species as enemies to be fought or as free labor to be exploited. It is ruled exclusively by humans, namely the representatives of the 6 sects, of the 6 great gods, and of further representatives of the military, and of course with the head of state being the pontifex. And basically there's still 1 agent in the shadows that hasn't yet been fully revealed, but again, it is a theocracy and not a democracy or a council state or anything like that. And it is basically again the opposite of Argland. Because Argland, on the other hand, is a deliberative democracy designed to balance the interest of its diverse residents, again at the cost of individual representation. And that's the theory anyway. In practice, it probably wouldn't take more than 1 election cycle before the lizardmen started claiming that there's no 1 lizardman species, that there are sea lizardmen, that there are river lizardmen, there are swamp lizardmen, and so on and so forth. And each of them are their own separate entity and therefore are deserving of their own separate representative in the Greater Council. Not because they truly believe they are different in species, but to increase the political power of said species. And of course, from goblins to fairies, everyone would try to subdivide themselves for more seats. And to illustrate what I mean, imagine this. Picture the European Union. And now picture that every one of the member states, whether it be Denmark or France, got exactly 1 representative in the European Parliament. And then Germany showed up in puzzle cosplay and demanded 16 representative seats because it recently decided, well, let's just be separate states instead. And the reason that doesn't happen in Arkland is the presence of the 5 dragon councillors. I know. I just spent ages explaining how no species gets more than one seed, but the dragons do get their own seed each, despite there only being 5 of them. Why? Well, because they're dragons. Might makes right. And Platinum, being the most powerful natural being in the New World, is almost always right that way, by virtue of his power and the fact that he made the rules. So you could say that all species are equal, but some are just more equal than other in the Arkland Council state. And this has all to do with one thing. Platinum founded Arkland as an experiment to see if coexistence between different species is even possible. And it could very well be possible that there are many other states out there that Platinum also had founded. All multi-species, but with different political systems, just to see what system is stable and what not. And if Arkland, for example, proves stable and viable, he likely hopes to expand this model and unify the New World, to better resist future invasions like those of the evil gods or the 8 great kings. And the dragon population has dwindled since the last war, and therefore Platinum needs all the help that he can get. So he invested everything into ensuring that the state succeeded. And in this sense, Arkland is a council state in both meanings of the word. Council as an advice, the dragons share their wisdom with the nation, and council as in a ruling body, where decisions are made collectively, and most importantly, in blatant disregard of one's own species. In reality, Arkland is kind of a managed democracy. The dragons, due to their immense power and influence, age, wisdom, and magical expertise, exert significant control over the regular council members, and are effectively the true decision makers. And other species are more likely to follow them. Which brings us to the second purpose of the state. Not only is Arkland a testbed for unifying the New World, if my interpretation is correct, but within the state itself, the dragons not only share their wisdom, they also strive to preserve and revive the original native form of magic in the New World, the wild magic. And I've already made a separate video on this, but here's the quick summary. Originally the New World used wild magic, but with the arrival of the players, the Yggdrasilian-based tier magic system was introduced and has since become dominant, so much so that even newly born dragons are now born with the ability to naturally learn tier magic instead of wild magic. And therefore Argland also aims to preserve and rekindle wild magic, the native magic of the world. And with that said, now it's your turn. What do you think about Arkland and its political system? Let me know it down in the comment section. And while you're typing, I say thank you very much for watching. Thanks to all of my Patreons for supporting this channel and for choosing today's topic. And as usual, I say my special thanks to Other Daddy Other, ASK, Bad Guy Ye, Bad Burrito 316, Beezer, Ben C, Brandon S, Brandon D, Chrissy, Crowley 0221, Sia, Crystal Prime, Dead Slime, Death is Mercy, Deathless Dragonlord, Demon Xenomorph 1987, Devin Downen, Ding Dong, Din Pep, Dragonlord Placido Saxophone, Duckwagon, Dunkler Krieger, Dystopia II, Enigmatic Unicorn, Feralchivan, Guy with That Head, Hector Marino, Hoss, Huster, Jacob G, Jana B, Jason, J. Morris, Chromius, Kyle R, Lee K. Long, Legendarius, Le Louche Britannia with a Mustache, Lexus Fox, Lord Nishikian Rai, Lord Touch Me, Lofrazer, Merowek, Mr. Shoes, Mr. Tweaker, Michael R, Michael Y, Nope, Oh Hell No, Normal Toad, Oh Kill, Overlord General Gasper, Paddy Pentum, Personage, Ruru, Primus 11, Rhinomere, Q&A Caracos P, Shergox's Daddy, Shadow Lightning Wolf, Shrine Keeper, Sir Axolotl, Super Tier Magic Batista Bomb, Supreme Cheese, Staris, Ted, Texas Deer, The Orc Warboss, Rocket Smasher, T.E. Wang, Vash Hawkeye, Vegito27, Venture Fanatic, Wilhelm, Xenokai, and Sonagon. Thanks guys. Anyway, have a nice day, and I hope to see you all again soon on my next video.